Welcome another speaker who knows his stuff, Dr. Joe Blanda. Joe is a medical doctor in Akron, founder of glioblastoma, and a member of Physicians for Social Responsibility. And he's here to speak today on living in a cancer zone. What does fracking do to our health? Welcome, Dr. Joe Blanda.
Thank you, Kathy. In 1970, 1 out of 300 Americans were affected by cancer. Today, it's 1 out of 3. Yes, 1 out of 3 of us. The number of cases of asthma have exponentially risen during that same time. And the fossil fuel industry is the major cause of these frightening statistics. There are more than 100 studies that prove toxic pollution accompanies fracking. We have scientific proof that fracking byproducts include at least 61 hazardous chemicals in these cancer zones. But listen to this scary fact. A recent study out of the University of Pittsburgh found the incidence of childhood lymphoma is 7 times higher for people living within a mile of a fracking pad. Let me repeat that. The incidence of childhood lymphoma is 7 times higher for people living within a mile of a fracking pad. The minimum setback of a fracking pad from a home in Ohio is 100 feet. And there's a different study that shows that cancer zone is 1.5 miles. Ohio politicians must step up and protect us, or we need to replace them. This is personal for me. In 2013, my 17-year-old son was diagnosed with a terminal brain cancer, which has been linked to environmental toxins. For 6 years prior to his diagnosis, he and I would spend long weekends and vacations at my best friend's cabin in Jefferson County. We would fish and swim in a nearby pond. Later, we found out that our swimming pond was contaminated by illegally dumped fracking water, and all the fish and insects died in that pond. In the evenings at my friend's cabin, we would sit by a campfire with some of the neighbors and look out over the distant valley at 4 or 5 fracking pads and see the flares. In fact, there was a fracking pad in the neighboring property about 50 yards away. One of the adults living there and both of their children now have severe asthma. This was when fracking first started in Ohio, and I foolishly didn't realize how dangerous it was. I can't claim that fracking toxins contributed to my son's death, but I do wonder, especially now that we have plenty of scientific research linking fracking to serious health conditions. We need politicians who will believe science and protect the public. In addition to cancer, multiple studies have shown an increased incidence of mild, moderate, and severe asthma in people living near these cancer zones. Older adults who live downwind or near oil and fracking pads have a higher risk of heart disease and premature death. Pregnant women shouldn't come near fracking sites. There is an increased risk of preterm birth and low birth weight babies after exposure to fracking byproducts. Fracking in our state parks is a public health disaster. I'm a member of Physicians for Social Responsibility. I am helping to build a park prescription program in Ohio to get patients to visit our parks for their health. I personally would recommend to my patients to go camping with their families at our state parks, to do some swimming in the lake, breathe in that fresh country air. I can no longer do that because I know the water and air in these cancer zones will be contaminated. I don't ever want to see a parent go through what I went through, to lose a child to cancer, so that wealthy investors and politicians can make more money on fossil fuel extraction. How many children live nearby our parks and will be within a mile and a half of these cancer zones? How many pregnant women and children will be visiting our parks? Our government needs to protect the people in and near our public land. To allow fracking on our public lands and state parks is a public health disaster. It is also a violation of our constitutional right to safety. We must demand our government to protect the public. Tell your legislators and the Oil and Gas Land Management Commission to deny fracking under our state parks and public land. And if they continue to ignore us, we must fight to change gerrymandering and elect officials who care about public safety. Thank you.